أوجب علينا فيها من الطاعات وقسمه لأهلها من العطاء في يوم الجزاء إنه هو العزيز الحكيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآله واجعله آمن يوم عهدناه وأفضل صاحب صحبناه وخير وقت ظللنا فيه واجعلنا من أرضى ما مر عليه الليل والنهار من جملة خلقك أشكرهم لما أوليت من نعمك وأقومهم بما شرعت من شرائعك وأوقفهم عما حذرت من نهيك على سائر خلقك في يومي هذا وساعتي هذه ومستقر هذا. إني أشهد أنك أنت الله الذي لا إله إلا أنت قائم بالقسط عدل في الحكم رؤوف بالعباد وأن محمدا عبدك ورسولك صلى الله عليه وسلم وخيرتك من خلقك حملته رسالتك فأداها وأمرته لصلاة الجمعة لأمته فنصح لها. اللهم فصل على محمد وآله أكثر ما صليت على أحد من خلقك واجزه عنا أفضل وأكرم ما جزيت أحدا من أنبيائك عن أمته إنك أنت العزيز الحكيم. أما بعد. السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله. أوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله. First of all, I admonish myself, then you all, on the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is the key to success both in this world and the hereafter. We are living through times when we're going to be tried in every way possible. And these trials will prove how many of us have iman and how many of us are on the level of taqwa. And the trials are a means of strengthening us. La yukallifullahu nafsan illa wus'aha. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not give any trial to anyone. Taklif is responsibility. Without giving them illa wus'aha, first giving them the strength or the potential. So we first get the potential and then we get the trial. So we may be tried in different ways. The Holy Quran says, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّهُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ الَّذِينَ إِذَا أَصَابَتْهُم مُّصِيبَةٌ قَالُوا إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. We will surely try. وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ. We will surely try you from something with fear. A lot happens and fear comes. وَالْأَنفُسِ. You're losing of souls, body, your parents, children, brothers and sisters, spouses, you lose these people. وَالثَّمَرَاتِ. Losing here does not just literally means fruits, but crops and all the bounties from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Thamarat are the gifts of Allah, the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we have, trials in every way possible from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These trials will come. And then Imam Hussain alayhi salam has a very beautiful saying that Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa alayhi. إِذَا مُحِّسُ بِالْبَلَى فَقَلَّ الدَّيَّانُونَ. He says that if people are tried, if people are inflicted with problems and trials, إِذَا مُحِّسُ بِالْبَلَى. Bala is ibtila, meaning trial. فَقَلَّ الدَّيَّانُونَ. The ones who are deendar, the ones who hold on to faith, the ones who are still religious, will be very few. فَقَلَّ qaleel, there'll be very few. What happens is that in good times, everyone is a faithful person. Imam alayhi salam is in good time, then everyone will be with him. But when he's in trouble, let's see how many stand with him. And the greatest of the Sahaba started trembling and said, let's leave. Ali is in trouble, Ali is in problem. Let me say this very loud and clear. One of the biggest trials for mu'mineen in the time of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam was the commander of the faithful did not live an affluent life. Yes? He lived a very poor life. He had patches on his clothing. So only the ones with true vilayat would stick to him. And the ones who were impressed by the apparent things, the the wealth and the palaces and everything, they all went to Muawiyah. Yes? It was common. This was the trial of the mu'mineen in the time of Amir al-Mu'mineen. In every era, the trial will be different. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will continue to give trials, and mu'mineen and muttaqeen are the ones who are strong in trials. When tried, they do not, the Holy Quran describing, obviously, I'll say hadith as well, but this ayat is very beautiful. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describing, He calls them bunyanam marsus, a building that does not move, yes, solid, rock, a mountain. And the hadith says it, al-mu'minu kal-jabal al-rasikh. A mu'min is like a mountain in the ground. Trials come, problems come, flood comes, bad weather comes, everything comes, the mountain stands in its position. Everyone follows that? The example is that a mu'min is firm. So it is, like people who are without faith or people who are weak faith, they will quickly tremble, they will say, what should I do? The Holy Quran describing the munafiqeen, la ilaha ulai wa la ilaha ulai. They are neither with these people nor with those. Every day they are with a new group. In the end of time, we will be tried in most difficult methods. There are many, many ahadith indicating towards that, not just one. Satu gharbalun, you will be, like you have filters. You will be filtered. People will be filtered. Only the purest of the people will make it to the 12th Imam alayhi salam. Many mu'minin will lose out. So it is very important that we realize that we are going through trials. And there will be many mistakes made by the leadership. Local, international, all sorts of leaderships. And sometimes they will cause you to go through more difficult times. And sometimes you will be prepared for the end of time. We are in an era, in a time when we've become again the center of attention of everyone because of what is happening in the Middle East. So Shias may be now under scrutiny under difficult times because of what is happening in the Middle East. We will stay in the radar, in the light. And in these times, we are the strongest that have lived, that have survived. There is a theory. In every science, there will be a theory. I hope people are paying attention. I'm not troubling you too much. There is a theory in every subject. In biology, there is a theory that is called survival of the fittest. In over the time, many animals survive because they were the fittest, not the strongest. There's a so they say that, although they were, the dinosaurs were the strongest and the biggest, but they didn't survive. They eliminated, they got extinct. They're finished. Yes, everyone? I hope people are paying attention. So many big nations, they were completely eliminated. But we, the Shia, have proven over the time, against all odds, against all the enemies and against not just external enemies, internal enemies, munafiqeen, like many of the Muslim rulers killed us. Not in one place, all over. I was leading Jummah namaz last week in Kampala. How many times have you moved the Khoja community? How many times have you been thrown out? Migrated? Remember one thing, survival of the fittest. The wolves, they say that, one of the fittest to survive the hard weather, the tough. We have to learn. And the theology, if you look at the scientific explanation, everyone, I hope people are paying attention to this. If you look, in English they call a pack of wolves, yes? There are certain animals that live alone, yes? And there are animals that live in groups. Human beings are social animals. The wolves also live in groups. Lions live in a pride, the pride of, so they live in groups as well. 12 to 15. Wolves live between 14 to 18, group. And when wolves are traveling, they say that the weakest, the oldest wolf is right in the front. Why? The weakest one determines the speed of the pack because he can't walk fast, he can't run fast. So he'll walk in the front. And the strongest one is right at the back. Why? He needs to defend the pack if there is an attack. There are two models, two theories in business. I hope people are paying attention to all of these points that I'm making. Too many points I'm trying to fit into one. There is the American model, the conventional model as they call it, which is like a triangle as well. Yes? And the leader is right at the top. The business leader or the manager, whoever he's at the top. What does he do at the top? He keeps building pressure. Do more. That's what he does. Right at the top, builds pressure. In the Japanese model, it is still a triangle, but the triangle is upside down. And the leader is at the bottom, the one who can take the most pressure, not the one who can give the most pressure. We live in an age where survival of the fittest. So we need to prove that we are the strongest. We are the followers of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Amirul Mu'minin alayhi salatu wasalam, Imam Hassan alayhi salam, Imam Hussain alayhi salam. Against all odds, they survived. Against all the pressure, against all the propaganda. Do you know that the most propaganda happened against the first two Imams alayhi salam? Yes, everyone? Imam Ali alayhi salam, they said he's astaghfirullah, he doesn't pray, he's, I don't want to use the words because this is our member, so we should not say anything bad about our Imam. They made him as if, he was not a practicing person. Who? The Khulafa, and then especially Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan. He said, Ali doesn't pray, Ali doesn't do this, Ali doesn't. And then he announced one day, Ali ibn Abi Talib was struck with a sword on the 19th of Ramadan in the masjid while he was in sajda. So the whole of Syria, the whole of Sham, they said, what was Ali doing in masjid when you told us he doesn't even pray? The Imam that did 1,000 rakats every night, they said he doesn't pray. The Imam that the Holy Prophet ﷺ is saying, Ali is kulli imam. Baraz al-imanu kulluhu ala al-kufri kulli. One man is complete iman. And the people are saying he doesn't even do namaz. And the second Imam, Imam Hassan Mustafa, he made him as if he was astaghfirullah rabbi wa atubu ilayh, a womanizer. He has 1,000 wives. I heard Ali ibn Abi Talib myself, he said, don't marry your daughters to my son Hassan. You never sat with Ali ibn Abi Talib. How did you hear him? You never saw face to face with him. You never visited him. You never. Can you imagine? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Holy Quran says, وَالتِّينِ وَالزَّيْتُونِ وَطُورِ سِينِينَ وَهَذَا الْبَلَدِ الْأَمِينَ. Look at the ahadith in Shia and Sunni sources. Who are teen or zaytun? In reality, teen or zaytun are Hassan and Hussain alayhi salam. وَهَذَا الْبَلَدِ الْأَمِينَ. Balad Amin is, all of these are the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. Wa Tur Sinin, wa Hadha al-Balad al-Amin. One is Imam Ali alayhi salam, the Holy Prophet. All of these tafasir, the Holy Quran has said so much about them, and then the people spoke against them. So we're living in an age where we will be continuously tried with the belief in Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. In Iraq, the Shias had become weak of faith. They said, where are Ahlul Bayt not helping us against Saddam Hussein? Everyone following me? Why doesn't Abbas alayhi salam help us? We are trying to overthrow Saddam. Trials will be longer. We have previous examples. Allah has given an example of Hazrat Musa alayhi salam. Hundreds of years between Yusuf alayhi salam and Musa alayhi salam. Yes, everyone? Hundreds. Not 10, 20 years. Who came? Pharaoh. Started killing their children. Back then he killed thousands and thousands of the children of Bani Israel. Bani Israel started losing faith. Where is God? We are children of Ibrahim alayhi salam and Ishaq and Yaqub. And why isn't Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helping us? Centuries passed by, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent Musa alayhi salam. He said, now I'll save you. It happened all the time. Not once, not twice. Over the centuries we have seen these. So we will go through trials. At the moment, there are 3 Shia populations, one in the Middle East that are in the war, and 2 which are outside. One is the people of the subcontinent, from India, Pakistan originally, yes, and the rest of the world. We are the largest Shia population in the world. Yes, everyone? People from the subcontinent, from Pakistan, India. We are the largest Shia population in the world. We have more duties. Yes, we are. Many people don't realize. If you look at the whole subcontinent, as one, because we have similar culture, language, azadari, everything which is similar. Khojas, non-Khojas, Urdu, Punjabi, all have similar culture. Yes, everyone? We are the largest Shia population in the world. We're probably around 80 million, 85 million people. So we are more than Iran and then the Arab world. We have more responsibility. So we're living in an age where we'll be tried continuously. We'll go through difficult times. Middle East is living through extremely difficult time. What has happened in Syria, is an example where the harams, there are many people who used to think that once free, always free. I've said this tens of times. Whenever you get a chance, do the ziyarat of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. Because until Sahibul Zaman Islam comes, the ziyarat will open, close, open, close. It will happen all the time. And many people don't realize that. It has happened in the history. It has happened for the past 14 centuries. And it will continue to happen until the Sahibul Zaman Islam comes. So we have to realize that good and bad times continuously come and go. Shia population in the Middle East was always different. Like for example, in Syria, it was always low. In Iran, Iraq, it was always high. Bahrain was high. Now, 1923, the British finished the Ottoman Empire, Khilafat-e Uthmaniyya. In October 1923, it finished. And then they divided the whole of Ottoman Empire into small countries. Why? So the British theory is divide and rule. It is easier to control factions than the whole population. So you have to divide them. It is easier to rule. So that's their theory. I know it's going on. I'm not going to say anything controversial. I'm only stating, historical facts. Do you remember? Okay, I'll leave it. I was gonna say something, but he said it on the national, one of the national radio channels. David Miliband, the British Foreign Secretary. So someone, phoned in when he was taking live calls, and someone said, you didn't condemn, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, you only went to Iraq. He said, listen, we must not do things that unite all of our enemies. Did you all get that? So sometimes you do something and the enemies unite. He said, don't do that. You hit one and you pat the other one. So you slowly kill. You don't kill everyone together. If you fight everyone together, they'll kill you. So in 1923, the British divided the whole of Ottoman Empire and made small countries, many, many small countries. And the policy, if you go and study, one of my family members, not to mention who, was doing like a course from Harvard on political science, and they said that the policy of the British was to put the minorities into power. Yes? Why? So they would always extend hand for help. The majority are trying to kill us. Can you help? If the majority came in, they will say, okay, you out. We will now rule. So they put the Sunnis in power in Iraq because Iraq was 85% Shia. Now they say, no, you're only 65. So if the Iraqis say, no, we are 75, no. We will not accept. Why? Because then we have to give rights to the Kurds and the Sunnis. So they're working on their agenda. They don't care if we know, if we don't know. They've already started dividing Syria, like the killing. Anyway, so in Syria they put in the Alawites, which were about 8-10%, 8 to 10%, 12% maximum. Yes? So they put them in power. Why? So because they were minority. And that was a policy. Bahrain, 95% Shia, more than 95% Shia, they put the Sunnis in power. So when they revolt, they said no. One of the mistakes we made, the Shias made in Bahrain was, don't go into government, don't go into army, don't take up any civil servant positions, don't go into police. Why? Because the government is batil. Please listen to my things. I'm not criticizing anyone because we're not masumeen. We all make these mistakes. I may be making these mistakes as a community leader. So we make mistakes, we don't realize, and we realize later what happened. Yes, everyone? At the time, they thought that the government is batil, he is fasiq, he is Muawiyah, Yazid, the ruler, the king. Yes? We can't take up positions. Why? Because the Imams have said, don't take a position from the people who are fasiq. Zalim, you don't take any position from a zalim. So the king is zalim, he is appointed by the zalimeen. We can't take up any position. What happened? He said, okay, they are, mashallah, stupid enough. I don't need to do anything. They're not taking up any positions. He started infiltrating all the takfiris and Wahhabis and started giving them passports and say, okay, you take up the army. Did you all understand? So in Iran, when the revolution happened, the ruling party was also Shia. The people who were revolting were Shia. So when they were shooting, the army said, we cannot kill our own people. So, in 1979, when the people came out in the streets and the people were killing, 5,000 people were killed, and people said, you're killing your own people. So one person made a headlines. You give us bullets, we give you flowers. Yes? And that hit the Iranian army. He said, we can't kill our own people. Why? Both sides are Shia. Did everyone understand? So they were giving out flowers, and the Bahraini people, the Bahraini leadership said, do the same thing. Give flowers to the army. So they took flowers and they said, shoot, this is a Shia flower, I don't like it. Why? Because they're opposites. That was the biggest mistake. We are repeating the same mistake in many other countries. Staying out of everything completely. Come into decision making, otherwise we will be marginalized everywhere. I've pointed out at many important strategies. It happened in many countries. It happened in Iraq, it happened in Bahrain, in Lebanon, in many countries. So the British, it was their plan to keep the minorities. Now, I've been talking about this, some of the people who've been listening to my khutbahs for the past few years, that we are going through, 100 years have completed after First World War, 75 years, all the pacts with Germany, Japan were for until 2020. 4 years ago, they all finished. First World War, it was up to 1923, 100 years completed last year. So we are now going to see changes in borders, in currencies, new political system, new economical, everything is going to be new. Survival of the fittest, that was what I started with. We now need to have a strategy where we survive through these difficult times. How do we do that? That's the decision of the leadership, and I think all the different factions have to come together and stick together. And obviously, because these sermons are heard all over the country and even outside, so I'm speaking on these topics very openly. But we need to think on the strategies how we survive this current turmoil. It is one of the biggest turmoils that we have seen, biggest crises that we have ever seen in our lifetimes, and we have to survive through this. We are now being marginalized, we are now being targeted throughout, we are now enemy number one for nothing. We are mazloom and then we are again targets. You see, sometimes the picture, the media and the politicians play, they make you look like as if you are the evil, you are the zalim and the oppressor and the aggressor. And we have to survive through this, and we have to portray and fight that we are not the aggressor, we are not the zalim, we are not the oppressor, we are the victims. Look at the way they are now portraying the whole of Syria and the way they are dividing. Last thing I want to say, I know the time is going to be finishing very soon. The man, Julani, the same man was regarded when he was in ISIS as a terrorist. Biggest media outlets, they called him the terrorist. Now they downgraded him after he's taken over the government in Syria, the rebel. And slowly the prime minister. A terrorist is a terrorist. A murderer is a murderer. A thief is a robber is a robber. Yes? Many international establishments. I know there are many Pakistani brothers here. So when they switched the party, yes? Many people, when they switched the party, they said, you get a clean sheet now. We forgive you the 250 murders you committed. There was only about one man. So, because you've now obliged us to join our party, so we forgive. That is the agenda of Banu Umayyah. Now, many people are openly saying that this is now Sufyani taking over Uthman. We are not clear yet, everyone. This has happened many times in the Shia history, where the scholars and many times Mu'mineen have openly, the Imam al-Islam is coming. This is not the first time. 150 years ago it happened. Few hundred years ago, 300 years ago it happened. It happened in many, many eras where the Shia said, this is it. The Imam al-Islam is coming. This Rajab, we have to all watch. Hang on. Please be careful. Yeah, and then a lot of the young people lose faith and say, they all said that the Imam al-Islam is coming and the Imam didn't come, so this is all fake as well. This is all made up. Don't do that. Don't just jump the gun. Yes, we're all waiting eagerly. We are all praying. But it doesn't mean that we start saying that Julani is Sufyani. Abu Bakr Baghdadi, I remember when 2011, he made the whole movement. Everyone started saying, Maulana, this is Sufyani. I said, his name is Abu Bakr. And the hadith says clearly that Sufyani's name will be Uthman. Julani is again not Uthman. Many things, many events will happen. Very clear hadith by Amir Umayn. Many Zalimeen and followers of Banu Umayyah will come. He even named the cities. He said, a Sufyani will come from Tikrit. Saddam was from Tikrit. When he said that he's a Sayyid, then people started doing a research and they found out that he was from Banu Umayyah. He was a Marwani. I'm saying that don't jump. We are all praying. We all want the Imam al-Islam to come, but don't start pointing out that this Rajab is going to be crucial and the Imam al-Islam, this is Sufyani. Look, many things will happen. Many things have happened in the past. So we have to now wait and see and watch. I don't think that this is going to be this Rajab, but it could be next. If things unfold the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants. One last thing I want to say before I conclude. There is a hadith by Imam, not just one, but many, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may eliminate all conditions and send the Imam alayhi salam when he wants. Without any conditions. He can choose. And that's not for us to decide. That is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to decide. When he tells the Sahaba to come and rise and eliminate dhulm and establish peace and justice. But we have to be careful and we must not do things that may result in confusion, and we have to be firm in our iman. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wal asr inna al-insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa amilu salihat wa tawasaw bil haqqi wa tawasaw bis sabr. Sadaqallahu. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم لك الحمد بديع السماوات والأرض ذا الجلال والإكرام رب الأرباب وإله كل مالوح وخالقها كل مخلوق ووارث كل شيء ليس كمثله شيء وهو بكل شيء محيط أنت الله لا إله إلا أنت الأحد المتوحد الفرد المتفرد وأنت الله لا إله إلا أنت الكريم المتكرم العظيم والصلاة والسلام على محمد النبي الرحمة سيد المرسلين اللهم صل وعلي بن أبي طالب سيد الوسيين اللهم صل على محمد وفاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين اللهم صل على محمد والحسن المجتبى حجة الله على الخلق أجمعين اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آله. والحسين الشهيد المظلوم وارث أمير المؤمنين اللهم صل على. وعلي بن الحسين زين العابدين اللهم صل على. ومحمد بن علي باقر علم الأولين والآخرين اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آله. وجعفر بن محمد الصادق الصديق والمقتدى بآبائه الصالحين وموسى بن جعفر الكاظم من أولاد النبيين اللهم صل على محمد. وعلي بن موسى الرضا من عترة بررة المتقين اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آله. ومحمد بن علي الجواد ولي المؤمنين اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آله. وعلي بن محمد السراج المنير إمام الخاشعين اللهم صل على محمد. والحسن بن علي سيد الأوصياء المنتجبين اللهم صل على. والخلف القائم المهدي المنتظر الحجة اللهم صل على محمد وآله. بعد آبائه على خلقك المؤدي عن نبيك ووارث علم الماضيين من الوسيين الذي ببقائه بقيت الدنيا وبيمنه رزق الورى وبوجوده ثبتت الأرض والسماء وبه يملأ الله الأرزاق السم وعدلا كما مولى الظلم وجورا وعجلنا اللهم ظهوره إنهم يرونه بعيدا ونراه قريبا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم افتح لنا أبواب توبتك ورحمتك ورزقك الواسع إنا إليك من الراغبين وأتمم لنا إنعامك إنك خير المنعمين. اللهم اجعل بقية أعمارنا في أداء فرض الجمعات والحج والعمرة ابتغاء وجهك يا رب العالمین. وصلی اللہ علی محمد وعلیہ الطیبین الطاہرین وسلم علیہ وآلہ. پروردگار ہم سب کی عاقبت بخیر فرما، صاحب الزمان علیہ السلام کے ظہور میں تعجیل فرما، دشمنان اہل بیت کو نیست و نابود فرما، اس امام برگہ کو ترقی عنایت فرما. پروردگارہ اس وقت دنیا بھر میں حالات خراب ہے، مومنین کے مسلمانوں کی حفاظت فرما، ہمارے امام کے ظہور میں تعجیل فرما، تمام مریضوں کو صحت کلی عنایت فرما. ربنا تقبل منا انك انت السميع العليم بحق محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين.